Qatar, wealth without complexity, an anatomy of rent, power, and fragility. Introduction: The mirage of power. Qatar is often presented as a modern paradox, a tiny state with colossal wealth, global visibility, and disproportionate diplomatic reach. It hosts global sporting events, shows international media platforms, and sits at the center of energy geopolitics. On the surface, it appears to have cracked the code of modern power, yet beneath this polished exterior lies a deeper truth. Qatar is rich, but not structurally powerful. Its prosperity is real, but its economic foundation is narrow, brittle, and heavily exposed to forces it does not control. This essay dissects Qatar's control through the lens of economic complexity, trade structure, and long-term strategic resilience. It argues that Qatar represents a textbook case of a rent-based economy, an economy that extracts value rather than creates layered capabilities. Such systems can dominate headlines and balance sheets, but they struggle to endure systematic shocks or technological transition. Part 1: The architecture of Qatar's wealth. Qatar's economic success rests on one pillar: hydrocarbons, especially liquefied natural gas (LNGs). Petroleum gas, crude oil, refined petroleum products, and basic petrochemicals account for the overwhelming majority of revenue of Qatar. In 2023 alone, petroleum gas exports exceeded 70 billion, dwarfing every other category. This concentration produced astonishing metrics: exports per capita among the highest in the world, persistent trade surpluses, one of the highest GDP per capita figures globally. However, these numbers conceal a critical flaw. The wealth is not a result of a diversified portfolio production ecosystem, but of a resource endowment multiplied by global demand. Qatar does not manufacture complexity, it monetizes geology. Economic complexity, the silent indicator. The Economic Complexity Index (ECI) measures not how much a country exports, but what kind of knowledge and productive capability those exports imply. On this measure, Qatar ranks poorly. It trades ECI places in its in it trades ECI places it in the lower half globally, and its technology complexity ranking is even weaker. This matters because complexity correlates with long-term growth potential, innovation capacity, adaptability to shocks, ability to move into newer industries. High ECI economies like Germany, Japan, South Korea export products that require dense networks of skilled institutions and tactic knowledge. Qatar's export basket, by contrast, requires capital intensity, not knowledge density. Once the infrastructure is built, value flows with minimum with minimal human or institutional depth. Trade patterns and structural dependence. Qatar's trade relationship reinforces this fragility. Its largest export destinations, China, India, Japan, South Korea, are not integrated partners in production chain. They are buyers of energy, and Qatar doesn't embed itself into their industrial ecosystem. It supplies fuel from outside. On the import side, the picture is inverted. Qatar imports machinery and mechanical appliances, aircraft and transport equipment, vehicles and industrial components. In short, Qatar exports raw or semi-processed energy and imports complex goods. This is a classic signature of low complexity, rent-dependent economy. Volatility exposed. Recent trade trends. Recent data underscores the vulnerability of this structure. Year on year, exports decline have driven almost entirely by reduction in mineral fuel shipments. When energy prices soften or demand shifts, national income contracts rapidly. Imports, however, remain sticky. Qatar must continue to buy machinery, vehicles, or technology to sustain its lifestyle and infrastructure. This asymmetry means downside risk is concentrated, adjustment capacity is limited, fiscal buffers are required indefinitely. Sovereign wealth funds can smooth volatility, but they do not generate new domestic capability. They are fictional shock absorbers. Pardon, they are financial shock absorbers, not engines of complexity. The product space trap. In the global product space network, Qatar's competitive advantage clusters tightly around energy and basic chemicals. There are few natural bridges to higher complexity industries such as precious engineering, advanced electronics, pharmaceuticals, or capital goods manufacturing. This creates what economists call a path dependency trap. Moving into unrelated, high complexity sectors requires large scale human capital development, deep institutional reform, decades of learning by doing. Money alone cannot shortcut this process. Capability accumulation is slow, cumulative, and unforgiving. Geopolitics is a substitute for complexity. To compensate for economic narrowness, Qatar has pursued geopolitical and narrative leverage, hosting major foreign military assets, acting as diplomatic intermediary, investing heavily in global media and sports, deploying capital strategically abroad. These strategies amplify visibility and influence, but they are externalized forms of power. They depend on continued relevance to larger actors. They do not create autonomous productive strength at home. Wealth versus power, the core distinction. The central lesson of Qatar's model is the difference between wealth and power. Wealth can be accumulated quickly through rents. Power emerges slowly through complexity. Wealth buys comfort. Power buys survival. Qatar has optimized for the former. Its economy excels at generating income under favorable economic conditions. It is far less prepared for a world where energy demand patterns shift, carbon constraints tighten, or geopolitical alignment realign. Conclusion: a rich state, yet exposed. Qatar is not falling, neither is it failing. It is extraordinarily successful at what it was built to do: extract, export, and monetize energy. But success today doesn't guarantee resilience tomorrow. Without a deliberate and sustained move towards higher economic complexity, Qatar's prosperity remains contingent, not intrinsic. In the long arc of history, rent-based systems shine brightly and fade suddenly. Systems built on layered capabilities endure. Qatar stands at the crossroads, not purely, pardon? Qatar stands at the crossroads, not poor, not weak, but structurally incomplete.